twice out there. I mean, I get pulled over going to work. I get pulled over coming from work. I got pulled over in the stadium leaving the game. I'm still on the property of the Buffalo Bills, and I got pulled over twice in the facility.
You see, this is why I don't fuck with American football anymore. Well, really any American professional sport. These altars in which Marshawn Lynch, Shannon Sharpe, and countless other black men and other black people have sacrificed their minds, bodies, and identities are called football fields. When Marshawn Lynch and the thousands like him transform into the iconic moniker of Beast Mode, they are just fulfilling the master's intended quantum outcome for all those with our shared racial identity. To the pale masses, these athletes are nothing more than beasts of a different field. I refuse to be one of their beasts.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here. Yes, your girl is solo tonight, but we're still going to get all the way into it and pick things. And if you're not following my good friend, the Black Gnostic, make sure that you do. And he's absolutely right, because the same way we go through the draft is, if you want to know a glimpse at how the slave markets used to work, watch the Columbines for football. But the news is overflowing today. Oh, Lord, is it overflowing? You know what? Let's start with a bit of good news. Here we go.
Okay, wait, don't tell any of the Republicans, but the judge just dropped the gun charges against Hunter Biden. A gun count that had been part of a collapsed plea deal in Hunter Biden case was dismissed Wednesday as a judge signed off on a prosecution request. Oopsie doodle. Ooh, how mad are the Republicans gonna be? Oh, really mad. I love this for them.
Now, we kind of did see that one coming because of the precedent that had been set in a federal court and the fact that it was moving up to SCOTUS, the fact that this is something that had already been dealt with. Like, there were so many things stacked against those charges, making it fully to trial. But we got some good news. Now, if you thought we were done with Podium Gate, you're absolutely wrong. You were absolutely wrong. Nothing outside of coitus is ever swift with the Republicans.
Newly released emails sparked GOP demand for full-blown audit of deepening Sarah Sanders' scandal. Sarah, pictured here staring lovingly at her dinner guest, Satan himself. Sarah? Is that an Adam's apple? Are you a dude? You look like one of Matt Gaetz' thumbs. I think Sarah used to be Sam. I swear to God, that's an Adam's apple. Where she cut off some dude's balls and they got stuck in her craw. Anywho, new public records have sparked additional questions about when Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' office intended to use Republican Party funds to reimburse the state for a $19,000 lectern purchased in June with a government credit card. Records released this week, obtained by the Associated Press, show that the Arkansas GOP paid for the lectern in September, but the words "to be reimbursed" were added to the original invoice later. Like, after they got caught. Oops, we got caught. We better fix this.
Now, I chose this video for a twofold reason. Yes, Podium Gate is going to keep going. And the second is, as much as we love Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as much as despicable women bother us, it is never okay, nor it is appropriate to become transphobic. And no, don't say, he was just joking. We all tell those jokes. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. You can joke about someone. You can dislike someone. There is no reason to involve other communities into your shenanigans. What she did was illegal, absolutely. Should she be brought to justice? Yes. Should she be removed from office? In my personal opinion, absolutely. Now, one of our most entertaining con artists, who has decided to lay low for a while after the first set of charges, as we know, was indicted yet again. But let's really go down this indictment count. And just so you know, for George Santos, finally, it's about damn time. There is a motion to expel him. Now, can we get some more motions for some more people? And I think this motion is only coming because the GOP is tired of the BS, and given what's going on globally and the fact that there's still no budget and we're still fighting it, like, we're going to run out of time again. There are members of the GOP that don't care about being the majority anymore. I think some of them are plotting to take the majority away from the GOP so that the Democrats can pick a speaker and we can move forward. And in all technicality, as far as the Constitution states regarding the House of Representatives, the speaker does not have to come from the majority party. It's just a tradition we started. And I believe traditions are meant to be broken when needed. But back to Mr. George Santos. There's a 23 count superseding indictment. He was charged Tuesday as George Anthony DeVolder Santos. Damn. The counts charges, let's go down the most notable. 2 counts of wire fraud, making materially false statements to the FEC, 2 counts, falsifying records submitted to obstruct the FEC, 2 counts, aggravated identity theft, 2 counts, access device fraud, 1 count, wire fraud, 7 counts, money laundering, 3 counts. I thought there would have been more counts of money laundering, but theft of public funds, 1 count, making materially false statements to the United States House of Representatives, 2 counts. His next court date and when he will be arraigned on this latest indictment is October 27th. Chow. Now, one person we have not spoken about in a while is RFK Jr. He was originally running for president in the 2024 election as a Democrat, challenging Joe Biden. He has now firmly decided, you know what, I'm just going to come out as an independent. We're like, no shit, Sherlock, because you don't fit anywhere. Okay, I'm waiting for you to now come out again under a party you made up in your head, which is your prerogative. Do that, okay? I'm 2 steps away from coming up with my own task party, all right? Because I'm sick of them all. I'm sick of them all. But RFK Jr., through his campaign super PAC, raised $11 million within hours. It's amazing that the same people that will drum up and give up a collective $11 million are part of the ones that complain the most about prices going up and not. And anywho, he's also now his campaign is now trying to get the support of Elon Musk. Honey, you might want to hold off on that, but RFK is making some interesting friends. Now, remember, there was a song, not the Jason Aldean song, that we broke down, and I told y'all it was full of shit, and the artist was like, the GOP ain't supposed to be using this. I'm not the friend of millionaires. I don't do this, and I don't do that. And I said it was fake as fuck, and I gave y'all a breakdown, and some people was like, yeah, you're right. Some people was like, you reaching. Take a look.
I just saw something that I thought was pretty interesting. The picture you're about to see is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his wife Cheryl Hines, and singer Oliver Anthony. Now, just as a refresher, the chorus for his song Rich Men North of Richmond goes, "Living in the new world with an old soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit and it's taxed to no end, 'cause of rich men north of Richmond." And those lyrics are interesting after seeing that picture and those people grouped together. In 2015, Forbes reported that the Kennedy family's wealth was $1.2 billion. And based on this picture, Oliver Anthony looks awfully comfy with the people that he sings about.
I keep telling y'all, they cosplay oppression. You don't just pop out of nowhere. And this is part of the reason why you may be familiar with this rap duo, you may not. Why so many people were kind of annoyed by the success progression and now the trajectory that Flyanna Boss is on. They're like, oh, I'm tired of their song. You know, the song Hello Christ, I'm about to sin again. Those young ladies. But you saw them creating a buzz online. You saw them trying everything to get people to listen to their music. That's how you make it out the mud. Just like Kid Rock sold the lie that he was a poor boy from Detroit. No, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift. But when you first saw them, they're very polished, very edited, very well put together. Not like how we watched Justin Bieber progress, how we saw Justin Bieber get noticed, for example. Good child. Now, Carrie Lake, I had temporarily moved into Mar-a-Lago, and I still think, allegedly, that's why Trump was up in Bedminster for so long. Because allegedly she was getting on his nerves down there because allegedly she was taking too much spotlight away from him in stinky Mar-a-Lago. But she has officially announced her run for the Senate. Keep in mind, she still has not officially conceded her Arizona gubernatorial loss. But of course, when she made her announcement to run for Senate, Trump quickly endorsed her because of course he did. Of course he did. Because, before we even get into the Trump updates, we often talk about the percentage of white women who voted for Trump in the last election and the white women who consistently support Trump. But let's really look into this sheepish mindset before we move forward.
What's one thing he did when he was president that made your life specifically better?
He saved my business.
In what way?
1,000,000% financially. I mean, we were going under through all of the, PPP was huge for us. I do believe that it was planned, but what it was able to do for my business, giving back during that time was huge.
You think what was planned?
The pandemic. It was
By who?
It was a pandemic. However, I do think that it was planned by the deep state and by the higher ups, Rothschilds, Vanderbilt, so on and so forth, who controls our country with the Federal Reserve. It planned it because they did not want him going back into office.
Really? So the Rothschilds, there are only a couple of Rothschilds out there, and, Vanderbilts, there are not a ton of them. It's like just a handful of people are controlling the country.
I think the Federal Reserve is who's controlling our country for sure. And I think that every president that we have had in office before President Trump was being controlled by them. And as soon as President Trump came in, he stopped it all. And that's why they pushed back, is because they weren't in control anymore.
Do you think Donald Trump thinks this?
I think that he looks at our country as a business, which I think it should be looked at as a business. And I think that he has changed a lot of things, but I do not think he has a big ego as everybody thinks he does.
You don't think he has a big ego?
I think he has an ego, but I think we all have an ego, right? So as we choose to put our ego aside or we choose to let it be a good thing or a bad thing, I think that people come after him as if it's a bad thing, but I think that he uses it in an appropriate way most of the time. But if you're being beat up on the news 24/7, I think I would probably lash out a little bit as well.
Go with me for a minute. Now, a lot of people who look like her, talk like her, sound like her, they're bound into all these conspiracy theories that the Federal Reserve is controlling. Jesus Christ. Okay. But people like that, And they talk about, oh, well, Trump saved me because of the PPP loans. This is why I gave a history on Congress. Trump didn't do shit. But also, these are the same people who shot themselves in the foot because they don't think about their business. They don't think about how humanity and civil rights affect their business. If your employees can't make a livable wage and cannot afford health care, they're going to have more days off. They're not going to have longevity with you either. Whether it's them moving on to a better paying position or them dying off. And a lot of people, because they didn't want to wear masks, they didn't want to impose mask mandates, all of this stuff, because they thought they were going to become rich off of the hysteria. Oh, we're anti-vax, we're this, da 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 da. They killed off their customer base. They killed off their employees. Their employees contracted COVID and then long COVID. They cannot work the hours that they used to. Their customer base now have medical bills that are eating into their discretionary funds. You did it to yourself. You would not have needed a PPP loan if you would have handled the pandemic as it was a pandemic, and we could have dealt with it like we did bird flu, mad cow disease, and all of these other things. And the fact that she says, well, Trump looks at it like a business. He doesn't have a successful business. But that goes to show you once again, when they put it under the guise of business, it is okay for the owner of the business to get all of the perks and all of the savings and everything else. And they detach themselves from humanity because all they're looking at is dollars and cents and not how they're going to get the dollars and cents. Because last time I checked, robots are not coming in buying shit. Robots aren't even coming in to do the work for you for real, for real. You still need a person to handle it. But do you see how they code wording to detach themselves from their fellow human being? It's either business, non-business, because they don't even see their employees as a part of the business or a part of the commodity they need in order to be successful. In their mind, they're doing it all. Well, if that's the case, sweetheart, why do you need it? And these are the same people that are like, no, don't forgive student loans while having student loans and needing forgiveness for their business. Or they draw down political lines because they can't continue to lie to one another if they admit that they have an independent, a Democrat, a Green Party member, a Pink Party member, a Tea Party member, a log cabin Republican, all living in the same neighborhood, all living in the same city as them, all going to the same job as them. But his sycophants have even found a way to include him in this latest war. Think I'm joking? Take a look.
This is a moment for the United States to come together, to grieve with those who are mourning. Let's be real clear. There is no place for hate in America.
Okay, well, if he's really against hate, then he should call a prosecutorial ceasefire against his political adversaries, like the former president, and direct his DOJ and DHS to stop making conservative Americans feel like they're the enemy, or like they're the violent extremists out there.
Imagine thinking that was a hot take. Better yet, imagine trying to exploit all the atrocities happening to people overseas to request that Joe Biden dismiss all of Donald Trump's crimes. And really, what the hell is a prosecutorial ceasefire? I'm not a judge or a lawyer, but I have been on a couple of juries, and I have never heard that term used before. And I like how she wants the president to interfere with the DOJ's investigation into legitimate serious crimes. I have an idea. Maybe Donald Trump should stop breaking the law. And then there wouldn't be so many indictments and charges against him. But I don't know. I'm just spitballing thoughts right now. And lastly, if this is not violent extremism being committed by MAGAs, I don't know what is.
We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support.
period.
And this is why I try to remind people that the news is just chronicling history as it's unraveling in front of us. It is not the president's CIA and DOJ. That's what Trump went into office believing. That's what he has his sycophants believing. These are organizations that work for the people. The DOJ represents us. They belong to us. And why Fox News is still holding on to backing Trump and lying after all of the settlements, all of the lawsuits, the fact that all of their emails and text messages for the most part have been made public, showing that they can't stand Trump. It is a sickness, it is an illness. I hope it's not contagious. I really do. I hope it's not contagious. Now, regarding Trump, his legal team is still trying to delay the documents trial. Special counsel's team has accused Trump's team of making quote unquote distorted and exaggerated claims in order to delay the trial. On Monday, Jack Smith filed urging Judge Cannon to deny Trump's delay request due to the Trump's attorneys failing to provide, quote, credible justification for delay. Keep in mind, the trial is currently set to start March 20th, 2024. The Trump team wants it delayed until late November. And keep in mind, in this documents case, the co-defendants are Walt Nauta, who ended up having to get a public defender because although Trump keeps telling people he's going to pay for their attorneys, he didn't get one for Walt Nauta, and they had to be arraigned on 2 different days, although Trump had Walt go with him to his court date, and they're not even supposed to be anywhere near each other. And Carlos de Oliveira, and that's the IT guy that is already flipped and is going to testify against him. But I would say this, Trump needs to stop playing with Miss Fani because Miss Fani is playing chess. Take a look.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is putting on a clinic for prosecutorial perfection, and she is outright becoming Donald Trump's worst nightmare, and she just gave a preview of the devastation that is going to befall Donald Trump when it is his turn to go to trial in the felony RICO case in Georgia. So here's what went down. You had some of Donald Trump's RICO co-defendants. Remember, there's 19 co-defendants, including Donald Trump in the RICO case. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has already secured 1 guilty plea already of Donald Trump's RICO co-defendants, but 2 of the RICO co-defendants, one Ken Chesbrough, Donald Trump's former lawyer, and the other Sidney Powell, who I believe to be Donald Trump's former lawyer. She went on TV and represented herself as such and held press conferences as such, although she claims she isn't Donald Trump's lawyer, or wasn't Donald Trump's lawyer. Anyway, they elected a speedy trial process under Georgia state law, which required that their trials take place before November. So Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is like, that's my dream come true. I get to do a trial right now of Ken Chesbrough and of Sidney Powell. Bet. Let's go. And so Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has been very, very prepared for this. Ken Chesbrough and Sidney Powell then tried to file all of these motions to try to get the case dismissed before trial, which is now scheduled for October 23rd. So it's like 2 weeks away. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has won and defeated all of their motions. And the Judge McAfee, is also like, what are you doing? You wanted a speedy trial. Make your arguments in front of the jury. You don't need to file all these motions trying to delay now. You elected a speedy trial. Go. But here's where it gets extra devastating, not just for Chesbrough and Powell, whose trials in the next 2 weeks, but it's extra devastating for Donald Trump because you got to look at the subpoenas the out-of-state subpoenas in particular that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is requesting be issued. And because there are different procedures when you're subpoenaing people out of state, you have to first request permission from your judge in your state. And then there's comity, not comedy, but comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y, with other states through a Uniform Criminal Procedure Act, where first you have to get approval from your trial judge in your state to allow you to issue the subpoena. You then go in the other state with that court's order, and then the court in the state that has jurisdiction over the out-of-state witness then is the one that ultimately compels the witness to have to show up out of state. That's the process under our federalist system of how this is all dealt with. So we have a preview of who Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis will be calling at the trial. Remember, this trial is going to be broadcast live here on the Midas Touch Network. So make sure you're subscribed, by the way, to our YouTube channel so you can watch it live when trial starts. But who are the out-of-state witnesses that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is calling? Among others, the chair of the Republican National Committee, Ronna McDaniel, because it's directly connected to Donald Trump, number one. And number two, Alex.
Yeah, we've gone over the whole list before. Yeah. And there's still time. We don't know if Sidney Powell is gonna stop with the delay tactics and go ahead and take a plea deal, especially since Scott Hall took his plea deal and it's not looking too hot. He has all the goods on her, going right up the chain. And Trump is going to lose his shit once he realizes Scott's not playing, and Scott doesn't have a choice. Because remember, part of the plea deal is that they already took a recording of his testimony. So if he wavers, now we're going to move away from politics just for a little bit, and we're going to get back. Now, I did bring up Elon Musk, and we do have to go into this. Coming from Newsweek.com, Elon Musk reacts to EU's warning about X content after Hamas attack. After the European Union issued a stern warning to Elon Musk, saying that his social media platform X, formerly Twitter, has been spreading disinformation and, quote, violent and terrorist content, the billionaire businessman fired back. Thierry Breton, EU's Commissioner for Internal Market, wrote a letter to Musk regarding the social media platform on Tuesday, stating that he had indications that X was being used to disseminate illegal content and disinformation in Europe about the Hamas attack in Israel over the weekend. Breton alleged that disinformation includes, quote, repurposed old images and, quote, military footage that actually originated from video games. Yes, and a lot of this information is now making it over to the MAGA side of TikTok. So be careful, be warned, just don't engage. Report the content, block the person, and move on. Put them in a bubble by themselves at this point. Breton told Musk that he needed to have a, quote, proportionate and effective mitigation measures to tackle the risk to public security and civic discourse stemming from disinformation. Breton's warnings come as new laws regulating social media content seen in the EU took effect under the Digital Services Act, DSA. Let me remind you that the Digital Services Act set very precise obligations regarding content moderation. Breton wrote in a letter addressed to Musk, which was also posted on X Tuesday afternoon. Quote, first, you need to be very transparent and clear on what content is permitted under your terms and consistently and diligently enforce your own policies. This is particularly relevant when it comes to violent and terrorist content that appears to circulate on your platform. And remember, I don't know how Musk is going to do this because he fired his fact checkers. Musk replied directly to Breton's post on X, sharing the warning, saying the platform's policy is, quote, everything is open source. When we tell you that especially white men never have to mature and rarely are forced to take accountability, How many more living, breathing examples must come across every screen that you have before you get it? Quote, our policy is that everything is open source and transparent, an approach that I know the EU supports, Musk said. Please list the violations you allude to on X so that the public can see them. Merci beaucoup. Does this were Elon Musk and Jada Pinkett Smith raised with the same therapist? He has to do everything so publicly like a damn child. They sent you a letter directly. That didn't work, so they had to put it on social media. And like a heartbroken preteen girl, you got to air everything out online. But wait, nobody's going to tell him that this isn't appropriate behavior. Musk went on in tweets to basically tell users, as if everybody's watching Musk's account, to try to be careful and basically police themselves. How well do you think that's going to work? Because the biggest lie we were told growing up is that adults are mature. That once you become an adult, certain things just won't happen anymore. Honey, 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 I wish. Now coming from Radar Online, and news that keeps coming every couple of months. Vladimir Putin's death is imminent as Moscow scrambles to find a successor for the terminally ill Russian leader. Report. Vladimir Putin is terminally ill and his death is imminent as the Kremlin struggles to find a successor for the Russian leader. Radar Online has learned how. They control everything that comes out, okay? First, he was hiding in his secret city. Then he was almost dead one time. This is like when they thought Kim Jong-un died. We were hoping he didn't because his sister is way worse than him, but Lord Jesus. Let's continue. In the latest development to come after months of rumors and reports that Putin, 71, was battling several different conditions and diseases, a Russian Telegram channel claimed that the leader's death is imminent. Does Putin know that they put that out on the airwaves? Did he put it out there to try to make himself look weak? And before you think I'm reaching, realize this man will pull out all the stops, especially with this new war happening. I really do believe that he will do anything and everything to make himself and Russia appear not to be a threat and not be watching. Because you know he's sitting in the corner like, don't mind me, just watching. According to General SVR, Putin's inner circle is fussing about who should be named the Russian despot's successor. The Telegram channel also claimed that Moscow considered placing a body double in the Russian leader's stead to keep Putin's allegedly imminent death a secret from the world amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. I'm gonna need people to stop watching so many movies and taking them seriously. The attending doctors predict Putin's imminent death and a sharp deterioration in his health. General SVR reported this week. In the inner circle of Russian President Vladimir Putin, a fuss began with an attempt to create a consistent consensus around the idea of the continuation of the existence of the Putin regime after Putin. There is a general understanding that for some time it is possible to use a double of the president after the death or removal from power of the real Vladimir Putin, the channel continued. Almost all interested parties are ready to rally around a double who can be controlled. Who the fuck is going to look like him? Like, you gonna get him some plastic surgery and hope they heal in time? Like this inner circle. Are they an inner circle of preschoolers or kindergartners? Like first through third grade? Like what's going on here? But hell, you got people here in the United States that think President Joe Biden is a double, so I guess anything is possible. Now, heading back over to American politics real quick, coming from Newsweek again, Marjorie Taylor Greene gives Republicans a list of demands. I hope everybody has the confidence that this woman has in believing that she runs something. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene outlined a list of demands to Republican candidates on Wednesday as the House prepared to vote for a new speaker. And we know that vote was delayed. House Republicans were set to meet Wednesday in hopes of agreeing on which person to vote to replace California Representative Kevin McCarthy, who drew conservative revolt after working with Democrats on a short-term bill to avert a government shutdown. The House last week voted to remove McCarthy after Representative Matt Gaetz, a Florida Republican, introduced a motion to vacate, sending Congress into chaos as it has only a matter of weeks to pass a full appropriations bill. GOP Representatives Steve Scalise of Louisiana and Jim Jordan of Ohio are running for Speaker, and Republicans hope to unite to support someone and hold a quick vote on the House floor to fill the role. But it remains unclear whether either candidate would be able to secure 218 votes. Greene, a Georgia Republican, gave her list of demands to potential speakers in a post on X, formerly Twitter. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. No matter who the next speaker is, my issues and red lines do not change. Stop funding no money for COVID anything. Stop the weaponized government. That's y'all's thing. You all are weaponizing the government now, trying to influence things regarding Hunter Biden and holding a sham impeachment inquiry. And all this back and forth with the speakership, knowing we don't even have proper funding for our own military, and we have vacant positions within the military that we need to fill so that we are not vulnerable for attack. Stop transgender surgeries on kids. I don't know when that started happening, but you're not worried about the rhinoplasties and breast augmentations on straight kids, right? On cisgendered straight kids, right? Secure our border. Which one? Which one? There's more than one border. There's an east, there's a west, there's a north, there's a south. Which border? Put America first. Above what? And America is 2 continents. So first in what? First in show at Westminster? I can't. And Vivek is Vivecking again. Take a look.
When I pay taxes and I work and go to church here, that I don't have skin in the game until I pass a civics test. I hope people of all ages understand our government. But we're only calling for a civics test for under 25. Why not make everyone take a civics test, since it's about being fair?
Thank you for asking a challenging question. We have free speech and open debate in this country for a reason. And I think it's a beautiful thing to stand up when you're the only person in a room. You might not be on this one, but whenever you're the only person in a room who believes what you do, you have an obligation now more than ever to stand up and say it. So I thank you for doing that.
You're asking the wrong question. Being a citizen of the United States of America isn't just about what you get, it's about what you give.
Is it me, or did he just not answer the question? And Vivek, after admitting that his own parents are not citizens, how they're still here, I don't know. I don't know their status, don't care. Not like that, but you get what I mean. You're pushing for all these things, and you're talking about you have to take the same test that the immigrants take. How would you know what's on the test for immigration if nobody in your family has taken it? And why get behind a party that's dismantling the educational system that would make it plausible for people to know this information? See, even when I was in school, the year that I graduated high school, there was a test, and they made the mistake of telling us that this test was not going to affect if we graduated or not. We didn't take it seriously. We didn't. We had snacks, we had music, we were joking around. I'm not saying what we did was right, but I'm just saying that's what we did. And then in future years, in order for kids to graduate out of the school district that I came out of, they had to pass this test, regardless of what type of school you went to. Because there were some people that were like, I'm going to put my kids in a private school. It's a statewide test, honey bunches. And it got to the point where teachers could not teach the curriculum. The teachers had to teach, excuse me, what was on this test that did not match up with the curriculum that was already there. And they're like, well, it's supposed to test to make sure that the kids are learning what they're supposed to at these levels. None of this stuff is in the curriculum. So the teachers are now teaching for the test. You could be brilliant, but if you can't pass a test that has information on it that you've never been told, you're not graduating. And that's what we're moving further and further into. Just a bunch of drones. And the only thing that they have in mind is we can put them on the factory and we can destroy the unions and we can work them to the bone and make them think that it's patriotic for pennies on the dollar. As if those are the only jobs that keep society moving. I have met valedictorians of their school that do not know basic information. I've seen people from schools that are so touted with, oh yeah, they get these scores and they did it. And these people are just taught to pass the test. Standardized tests for states, for counties, ACTs and SATs, because that's what makes the schools look good, the test scores. This is why you have an Ivy League graduate in Vivek Ramaswamy talking like one of his children about how he would run the country and how foreign affairs go. Whew, child. Well, I know we don't normally check in with any of the Kardashians, but in this instance, it's valid. It does fall into the guise of what we discuss around here. Trust me on this one. Trust me. Take a look.
So it was revealed in Keeping Up with the Kardashians that Kim Kardashian did not, in fact, pass the baby bar exam. I covered this story 2 years ago. Kim Kardashian is trying to become a lawyer in California through a little-used apprenticeship program. She's not going to an accredited law school. She's trying to become a lawyer by being an apprentice for other lawyers. And as part of that process, you have to take the baby bar exam. This is the thing in California where if you don't go to an accredited law school or you're using this apprenticeship thing, you have to take a test to make sure that you are up to snuff so that you can continue and not waste everyone's time and money. She came relatively close but didn't actually pass, and I applaud her for putting in the hard work. It would be really easy for a celebrity like her to just completely phone it in. It seems like she's being genuine, and I imagine she could do a lot of good for criminal justice reform if she were able to pass the bar. So I'm rooting for Kim to take the baby bar exam again and continue in her studies.
What hard work is she putting in? Now, she has her Innocence Project, where there are a lot of Black women attorneys that are actually doing the work to get people out of jail that were unfairly and unjustly incarcerated. And who really thought that she was seeing this through? She's done a documentary or two about the project. She's all over the place. She's juggling shows, fighting with her sister. When? How many hours are there in a day? And don't say 24 because there's only 12. There's 12 in a day and 12 in a night. Like, now I don't know if she really truly wanted to be an attorney because her father was an attorney and she got the bug, or if she really just wanted to be taken seriously for her project, or she wanted to be the face of the project and be taken seriously in that way for it. That was not necessary. It is great to use white passing privilege and white privilege and your celebrity to help people. You don't have to lie to kick it. Because trust me, if I could find an apprenticeship program here, I will be Taz Esquire before you know it. But I mean, how you trying to keep up with the Kardashians, the Joneses, the Jenners, the McAfees, the Hiltons, the Vanderbilts, and everything else? Her and North alone got like 60 TikToks a day. And we know before she posts a picture, she spends a good 2-3 hours photoshopping it. Hell, I know how much time it takes updating the news. And that's not even putting together all the other stuff. So I'm not hating. I'm just, let's be realistic and let's start giving the proper people credit for things. I know. That's like saying you believe that Paris Hilton became an open heart surgeon in 2 weeks. And then, ma'am. And then, ma'am. Because the apprenticeship is no different than what they used to call grandfathering someone into a position. You know, before they had established colleges and everything else, that's how people learn trades and learn skills. And you got to be there to do the work. In 1 month, how many events has Kim Kardashian been seen at? And like I said, no shade. She always wanted to be famous. She's more infamous than famous, but hey, whatever. Do I believe she has discernible talents? Absolutely. I think everybody has a talent. And from what I've heard about this season's American Horror Story with her on that, she got rid of that little fakeness in her voice because she wants to be taken seriously as an actress. It's about damn time, because some other things I've seen her doing, she kept oh no. So we shall see. Now, as I told y'all yesterday, this is all the adulting that I'm going to do. I just got a notification that my new cup has arrived, so I'm going to go get that, clean it out, fill it up with Mountain Dew, and run amok over on TikTok. I will probably, maybe, kind of, sort of, we'll see how I feel tomorrow, go back to being an adult. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. That's debatable. Today was fun, not adulting. So, I don't know. But next week, Chris, our favorite resident ginger, will be back. And as always, thank you for joining me here. And each one teach one, each one reach one. And I did find the video regarding Matt Gaetz' confidant and when he was brought in and all of that. It is linked in the description of this video. Also, the latest audio-only podcast that is available on Spotify is linked in the video. And the latest contribution from our contributing writer on the Camp Towers blog. So make sure you check those out, y'all. Till tomorrow.